Good morning. Welcome to this time of worship and this time of praise. I am Pastor Don Drollinger. I serve the Halley and Zion United Methodist Churches here in the Chippewa Falls area. So glad to share this message this morning titled Together in Ministry. And I'm going to be reading from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 9 verse 35 through chapter 10 verse 8 in just a moment. And today we will consider some ways for us to be more effective in sharing good news and building our churches and our church families. Before I go to Scripture, let me encourage you to continue supporting and praying for one another and your local ministries and churches. These are tough times. These are tough times that we live in. For many, life is difficult and unemployment is high, sickness and addictions, sadness and hurt because of the COVID-19 and other things going on in our lives. Our families and our communities need to hear the good news of Jesus the Christ. And followers of Jesus are needed. Jesus wants us to be salt and to be light in the world that we live in. Help bring wonderful flavor and help bring the needed light to encourage and to offer hope in these days and these times is what Christ and the Spirit nudges us to do. For the things that are already happening, wonderful things, thank you for your caring and thank you for your sharing ways. Amen. I'm going to be going then to Matthew 9, picking up at verse 35. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. And then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, preach this message. The kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. This ends the reading this morning from the Gospel of Matthew. The 12 disciples felt the invitation, the nudge to follow Jesus, to build the community of faith, the church. When you feel the Spirit's nudge to be more active in the life of the church and your Christian faith, do you respond with, "Here I am, Lord"? Or do you come up with excuses why not? Do you find reasons to avoid growing in the life and the activities of our faith? Reasons to avoid church. A husband and his wife arose one Sunday morning, and the wife got ready, dressed for church. It was just about time for the service when she noticed her husband hadn't moved a finger toward getting dressed. Perplexed, she asked, "Why aren't you getting ready for church?" And he said, "Because I don't want to go." And she asked, "Do you have any reasons?" And he said, "Yes, I have three good reasons. First, the congregation is cold. Second, no one likes me. And third, I just don't want to go. The wife replied wisely, "Well, honey, I have three reasons why you should go. First, the congregation is warm. Second, there are a few people there who like you. And third, you're the pastor. Get up and get dressed." When you feel the Spirit's nudge to be more active in church, do you find excuses to avoid the call? "Oh, I'm just too busy. I've never done that before, and it's been so long since I've been involved," or "It's too early in the morning, 9 o'clock, and oh, I just don't have the ability." What are the obstacles that are keeping you from being more active in faith activities? Why does it at times seem so hard to get people involved in the life of the church? Why? You want to know why? Well, I don't know all the reasons why. I suppose there are many excuses and reasons. Some are probably legitimate, but I suspect most are not. Perhaps you are like me. At times I wonder and I complain, well, why aren't there more young people involved in ministry? Why is it so hard to get people committed to work and to participate? The answers to those questions are elusive. But a big part of the solution is found in today's lesson in verse 38. "Ask the Lord of harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest." The first thing we need to do for new workers to develop and to grow in our ministries is to ask and to pray. If we agree on nothing else, let's agree on this. Let's complain and worry less. Let's ask and pray more. For new commitments, for new workers to develop and to grow as followers of Christ in our churches, we are to ask and to pray. In so doing, we express our dependency upon God and our trust in God. Another part of the solution is found in verse 5 and 6 of chapter 10. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: "Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel." Jesus knew that in order for ministry to be successful out there, something needed to take place in here. At least two things would be necessary to know success and to be effective in ministry and in building the community, the church. Now, I'm not referring to a proper relationship to God. Our relationship to God is not dependent on man's success. Our relationship to God is more of a faithfulness based on trust and obedience. However, in ministry, what we do in our local churches, we ought to know some sense of success. Otherwise, I believe we are being ineffective, bearing no fruit. We will lack vitality and life. We need some victories. We need some success. Success is illustrated by the boy who sawed a hole in the ice between two veteran ice fishermen. The two old men had been there all day and had caught nothing. The boy started catching fish right away, one after another, and the two experienced fishermen were staring in disbelief. Finally, one of them put his pole down. He walked over to the boy. "Tell me, son," said the old pro, "what's your secret? We've been here all day and we have not caught a single fish." The boy looked up and replied, "Mohom, mohom." "Pardon me," the fisherman replied, "I don't have the best hearing. I didn't understand you." And the boy repeated himself, "Mohom, mohom." And again, the fisherman asked the boy, he said, "Why are you so successful?" Well, in desperation, the boy put his hands in front of him and he spit and then said very plainly to the fisherman, "You have to keep the worms warm." I doubt if the 12 disciples would appreciate that illustration, since they knew nothing about ice fishing. But in order for the disciples to be successful in fishing for new disciples, in building the church, at least two things were of utmost importance. The first, we have already discovered. We are to ask and we are to pray, according to Jesus' instruction in verse 38. Ask the Lord. First, we need to go to God, go for advice for all our different situations. And then, secondly, when Jesus says, "Go to the lost sheep of Israel," Jesus is challenging their own individual commitments and their families. Earlier in the book of Matthew, Jesus says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out,' when all the time there is a plank in your eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Jesus continually calls us to look at ourselves, our own commitments. A number of years ago, in one of the songs by Michael Jackson, it has a beautiful line in it that goes, "Heal the world, make it a better place for me and for you and for all the human race." It's a wonderful thought to heal the world. But for us to be in ministry to the world, Jesus reminds us it begins at home. Healing and real ministry needs to begin right here in our gathered places, in our bodies, in our churches and families. We cannot give what we do not have. Jesus calls us, just as he called his 12 disciples, to become not only followers of him. Jesus said, "Come, follow me," but not only followers, also workers. Because he says, "I will make you fishers of men." Or, using our analogy for today, builders of the faith, builders of the church, builders finding leaders and workers. Jesus calls us to be workers. I like the way Paul puts it in 2 Corinthians 5. "So we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us." It is a nice thought, and it is a blessing that God uses even us for his great plan in building the kingdom. Today, I want to make it very apparent to you the need for your ministry and your work to begin right in your own backyard, right in your home. Wives and husbands need to share with one another, need to talk about their faith stories. Families need to know that God is important, other than just on Sunday mornings or when someone dies. Is prayer a part of your home life? Is the Bible respected and loved? And single folks, those who live alone, must accept their responsibility. You must invite others to be a part of your family and offer to them joy and encouragement, and do it in a response to God's call to you to make you a part of God's family. I want to conclude my words today with a poem, a reading submitted by Anne Rudewald. This is what she writes. I am my church. My church is composed of people like me. We make it what it is. It will be friendly if I am. Its pews will be filled if I help fill them. It will do great work if I work. It will make generous gifts to many causes if I am a generous giver. It will bring other people into worship and fellowship if I bring them. It will be a church of loyalty and love, of fearlessness and faith, and a church with a noble spirit if I, who makes it what it is, am filled with these traits. Therefore, with the help of God, I shall dedicate myself to the task of being all the things I want my church to be. And now, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Until next week, take care. Keep shining brightly. Bye.